This is the concierge, sir.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Concierge Confidential. I'm your host, Brian Ortega, and in today's episode, we have a couple of reviews this week because we went out quite a bit, I have to say. I think I went out almost every day. That's pretty wild. So, you know how like those other weeks, like we would have like kind of a light sort of episode? Not today. We're action-packed, 3 reviews for 3 different places, a couple lounges, a restaurant, and we'll tell you how it went. So we're going to be reviewing the Vinyl Room, which is a brand new bar and lounge and restaurant, which is actually on the top floor of Mandalay Bay, where the old Foundation Room used to be. We also went over to the Cobra Clutch, which is located in Arts District, which is right across from Esther's Kitchen. And we also went to Esther's Kitchen, which that was kind of like a double up on one of those. So we're going to go over those different places and give a little bit of a review on each of those. So with that being said, let's jump into the episode coming up next. All right, everybody. So welcome back to the podcast. Just before we get into stuff, just wanted to shout out a couple of new people who've jumped on the podcast. And that would be, I just had somebody here who, oh my goodness, we were just talking. I just had this queued up. Yes. So very good, Ryan. Thank you for listening to the episodes. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Love the support. I like hearing from you guys. He actually recently just texted me on Instagram, consciousconfidential_LV, and explained that he, loved the Mirage, but now he's kind of like into Caesars at the moment. He does like a couple different places on East Fremont Street, Atomic Saloon. Pretty historic, to be completely honest with you. I've been there, I think, twice. Maybe a great place for like a movie location for shooting inside of that bar. They got an old school cigarette machine, which is actually kind of cool. But shout out, very good Ryan, for listening to the podcast. Really appreciate it. And also Tony, who actually asked me about a place I went to in LA, which was called the Desert 5 Spot, which was kind of a really fun spot that made me think, maybe Vegas nightlife has to figure their stuff out. And I think they might have with this new concept over at Mandalay Bay called the Vinyl Room, which the Vinyl Room is where the old Foundation Room used to be. It's multiple rooms, and it is completely redone. I had been to Foundation Room, I think, twice before, and it is actually a pretty large space on the top floor of the hotel. But I've only been on one side of it because Foundation Room was sort of like a membership thing as well, and also a restaurant. So it was kind of a weird sort of situation. Very dark, lots of like rugs. I always remember it was very, hard. It just had like a weird vibe on the inside. So this place opened up, and they actually have 3 different specific rooms to go inside of, as well as an expanded outdoor area, which I think is really what it needed. It was really lacking that. And they have an outdoor bar that connects to an inside bar on the front half of the lounge. So you go up all the way to the top floor of the Mandalay Bay. There can be sometimes quite a line, especially if it's really busy. This is going to be a members bar as well, our members bar like hyphen, just because they will have specific membership events and membership nights, but it will also be open to the public, and also you can have dinner there as well. I don't really know where you're going to have dinner because none of the tables were set up like as like dining tables. I would definitely say it's more like light bites, and maybe dining at the bar specifically. But when I was in there, you go up and you can go to the left for a specific room or to the right for a specific room. And we were explained to by the security guard who took us up the elevator that there are different BPM rates, beats per minute, for those of you that are not familiar with, the movie that's, what is it called? The movie is We're All Your Friends, which was a movie about DJing back at the height of DJing. But that in that movie, they explained what BPM is, which basically is beats per minute for what type for the music that you're listening to. So they all have like this BPM that they have to worry about. But one of the very unique things that I found about this experience was they actually have a DJ, a live DJ, in every single room, which was really cool. And when you go into one of the rooms, we went into the room to the right first, which that's the one that closest towards like the strip facing, which does have shades that come in and out. The decor is really fantastic. I love that they have all these like vinyl records on the walls, but it looks very high quality, really, really cool. And it has this very like warm feeling to it. It has like lots of browns, exposed brick, which the brick itself is actually like, created. They don't make this building out of brick, but it actually kind of feels like a New York loft in like the mid to late 90s, but really like well done. So it has a sort of like really cool sort of nostalgic feel to it, but still feels very modern and like kind of warm and cool. So I thought they really nailed the decor in here, and I think it's really fantastic and kind of like strikes the right tone for what people are going for when they go inside this place. So when you go into that room, the one that's closest to the strip looking south, they have this beautiful bar that sort of like is wrapped around. And then when you look outside, it actually wraps to the outside as well, where they have an outdoor bar where you could sit as well as bartenders, which I think is fantastic. I think these bars on the top floors of hotels need bars that are sitting on the outside, because that's where you want to be. You want to be out there like having a drink, looking out to the strip. I will go back to this place. This place was really, really cool. So I think this is actually what Mandalay Bay really needed. So plenty of space outside to go out, have a drink. You can also sit outside as well. I like the bar tops outside. I was there with sort of a group as well, so I didn't like really sit at the bar, but they did have a couple light bites being passed around. Some of my foodie friends like weren't like super big fans of the food, but they're foodies. I thought the food was actually quite fine. They had like really nice sliders. They also had teriyaki chicken skewers. They had salmon skewers. They also had really good creme brulee, as everybody said that was really delicious. They also have like a lot of like little steak bites. So those are really, really good too. So they did pass around a couple cocktails. The cocktails themselves were fine. They do give you lots of free alcohol at these grand openings. So I forgot to mention, this was a grand opening for the event. So we got a lot of like free stuff, like in terms of the food as well as the drinks. I probably wouldn't go back and have the signature cocktails. They did have one cucumber drink, which was really delicious. But for those of you that listen to this podcast know that I'm like a huge cocktail person. I probably would just get my regular old fashioned. But what I liked about it was that a lot of the bars always were situated to where when you sat at the bar, it looked out to either the Strip or the Allegiant Stadium or something that is outside, which I think is a huge plus. So really great job by Vinyl Room for figuring that out and having the bar looking out. This is a note to anybody who has bars that have views. Put the bar so the view looks out to whatever you're trying to see. There are a lot of places, a really good example being Alea 66, which is at Resorts World, which I know you're trying to sort of like get the most bang for your buck with tables and seats that are like right on the window. There are people that want to go and sit at the bar and look out, not just into your restaurant or into your lounge, which that's basically just a big giant square. So that's a huge thing I want to talk about. Same thing with like Circa. Circa has the same situation where their view is looking towards the Strip, or they're trying to look towards the Strip. They have an outdoor area, cool. They have areas that sit sort of like right there that are like looking out to the Strip. And their bar is obviously looking at a wall because that's where all of the spirits go. And yeah, then I have to look to my right, and I can't really see all the way out there because there's more people in the way. Give the single people, the people who want to sit at a bar and look out, a seat on the bar. Let's do it. I think also another thing is a Skyfall Lounge, which is closed for renovations. I think sneakily that they are going to figure out a way to put it so the people are sitting, because that's also the thing about the sky bar is that what's it called? Skyfall Lounge, is that the seats when you're sitting at the bar are your back is to the strip when you want to flip around and look out to the strip. So I think and I hope they're going to figure that out. But back to vinyl. So the mood really changes. So it was really well lit, like as the sun was up. And as the sun goes down, they start to raise the lights up inside of the building. And you get kind of like this, this different sort of hue inside of it. Very, like a lot of browns, obviously. So once we migrated to the much bigger room, which the rooms are both really well sized. Like they're really, really big in their own right. I would say that the one that is in the north facing side of Mandalay Bay, that feels like that room has a lot more seating. And the room that is actually like more to the south, that one actually feels like a bigger space because there's not as much seating on that side. But they have lots of couches as well. And they're kind of like tonally different. Like the one on the north end is darker. The one on the south end is a little bit brighter, like these browner tones. And I wanted to mention this as I was talking about it earlier, is that they do have DJs, and they are actually spinning vinyl records in all these spaces. So hopefully that sticks around, because I think it's actually a really, really cool and fun and really kind of like for a lot of people, nostalgic look back at what they believe like a lounge or nightclub should be like. The music was great. I think this is going to play lots of like really classic. And when I say classic, I'm sorry for those of you that are like, in their 50s. But we're talking like things from like 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s. That's really what their vibe is. So for me, who was born in 1992, that's great, because that's all the music that I love to hear. They were playing like This Is How We Do It. Like they were playing all the stuff that I wanted to listen to. So the music itself was absolutely fantastic. I didn't really get like all the different vibes on the inside. I guess when I went to the other side, there was a guy playing Frank Sinatra vibes, but that was kind of weird. And that was more of like a guest DJ situation, meaning that like one of the members was able to spin. But that was okay. And then they do have a private room, which is just for members, which we walked in earlier in the night. And then later at night, I think after 9 o'clock, they actually closed it off and it was just for members, which was a very much like a speakeasy-ish vibe, which was in a good way, because they did have security there. So it kind of gives it away a little bit, but it was against like a door, basically a bookcase that you had to open up. And then when you go inside, there's another bar with a DJ and seating, obviously. Really big outdoor space to sit down in as well. And that's where me and like a lot of the people that I went with hung out, was outside. And it was quite nice. Again, my biggest gripe with the vinyl room is the same problem that it had when it was the foundation room, is that the view that they have is basically the side orientation of Las Vegas Boulevard. So it's actually really hard to look north from their outdoor space. And if you want to get the best outdoor view of the strip, then you would have to go to Skyfall Lounge, which has a flush look looking north on Las Vegas Boulevard. But overall, the room itself, really cool. I would 1,000% go back and hang out there. I really had a good time for that night, on Saturday night. And just expect the, dress nice. I would say dress like you're going to a lounge. Pants, obviously. You don't need to wear a jacket, but some type of casual but nice top. You'll be completely fine when you go to the vinyl room. But I would say this is a great place for people who are in their, I would say 20s and 30s, even people who are in their 40s. I think this would be a really fun spot. And again, this goes with anything, just kind of depends on what vibe you're going for, but definitely a very like loungy vibe. Maybe later at night it turns more like nightclubby. It gets a lot darker, obviously. But I would say this is a great place to go for like a sunset cocktail, or something that you're kind of winding down the night, or you're kind of wanting to get turned up, and this is sort of the place you end up at. I think Vinyl Room is a great option. So let's move on to another vinyl room of some sort, which is on Main Street, which is called Cobra Clutch. So Cobra Clutch, for those of you not initiated, is the sister experience to Nocturno, which is a wildly successful bar in the Arts District, which I go to quite frequently, and I wanted to try their new sort of experience. So this is located on Main Street, right next to Esther's Kitchen. Has a really cool like neon sign, and there's a lot of disclaimers you have to know about this place before you go. One, anybody can go. There are no reservations needed. So when you get to Cobra Clutch, this is very important to note, it is an extremely small space. They only have like maybe 3 tables that fit up to like 4 people. It's mainly a bar, so mainly the bar tops. The bar top itself also is not like gigantic. It fits probably, if I had to count, like maybe 10 people max. It is very small. They do not serve food. They serve strictly cocktails. They're all like Japanese inspired, and it has this sort of like cool like 1980s almost like punk Karate Kid vibes, and they play vinyl music. That's that also the concept. So it's kind of funny that I went to both vinyl options. This is a vinyl listening bar, so there's not like a DJ. There's basically a vinyl. There's a record player playing vinyl, and that is what you're listening to. Just like a lot of Nocturno's sort of like idea on what music they play. I am not always a huge fan of Nocturno's playlist because it's like a lot of deep cuts. Like these are very like music forward owners. Same thing for Cobra Clutch. It's like all these like crazy like Japanese style like lounge vibes. Although I saw the other day they were playing The Bodyguard, which I was very sad that I was not there for that. So they do have slushy drinks, which are really very interesting. They have really great tiki drinks as well. They're not really called tiki drinks, but they're served with like Japanese shaved ice, which is a really cool machine, which actually they have big giant cubes of ice that are imported, and they actually will like push them down with the this ice maker, which is really cool. The drinks themselves were good. I felt, and this is always kind of like depending on like what your vibes are, I felt that the menu was like sort of restrictive because it was specifically trying to be like a Japanese like bar or a Japanese style inspired lounge, and you're trying to like sort of go with that. They do have other cocktails that you can order, but again, that's just like anything else. Like Ghost Donkey feels highly restrictive if you do not like tequila or mezcal, because that is all they serve. So you have to know that kind of going in, that is like the concept. And I would say this is something that you would do like before or after dinner. Most likely after dinner. Why? Because I will explain. This is definitely something you do like with a plan of going someplace else first. I do not think you're going to spend your entire evening at Cobra Clutch. Reason being is that it is quite small, so you do feel like a little bit of pressure, at least I do, of like, okay, time's up, like I need to move out of here, which I know that's not like what they're trying to make people feel, but I would say that is that's kind of the feeling that I felt when I went. So when I showed up about, it had to be like 7:30 or 7:45. Lou, who was there, sup Lou, I walked up to the front, and then like they'll take your name down. They take a wait list. The wait list was, I was supposed to come back in about an hour, which that is a very long time, which if this wasn't for Lou, I would not have done it. And I wanted to check out the concept, obviously. But I said, oh, like, that's cool. Like, I'll go over to Esther's Kitchen. So I went to Esther's Kitchen, and I ate dinner, and still hadn't got my call yet. Went back after about an hour. There was still a couple people in front of me. I think there was like maybe one person in front of me. So they were able to let me go inside and sort of stand at like a sort of on-deck circle where you can get drinks, obviously. And then I was able to sit down and then have my drinks. So All in all, I did spend like about 3 hours on Fremont. There was another person that was on a waiting list for 3 hours, which is quite long. It was opening night, so sometimes not all nights are going to be the same. I would definitely say this is something that you do in addition to going to someplace else. So for anybody looking to go to Cobra Clutch, it is definitely a really fun concept to do. This is certainly going to be like a second stop of some place where you went before. So like you're going to go to like Twisted Sisters, you can go to like Bar Bohème, you can go eat somewhere, you can go to Makers and Finders, or you can go to Nocturno, which is the thing is like if they were closer together, it would be a much easier like sell, but it is a little bit of a walk. Just depending on how much you like to talk. Some people like think it's actually not a terrible walk. They're probably about 10 or 15-minute walk away from each other. So it's not too bad. But I would recommend you're going to go to Cobra Clutch, then you're going to go to Nocturno, and then you're going to go back to Cobra Clutch, or vice versa. So, because you have to get your name down at Cobra Clutch. So again, it is a very small space. It is a really fun thing to do. It is certainly an experience that you should plan to do something else and then end up there. That's what I'm going to say. It's lovely. I do think that Nocturno has what I enjoy most about it is that is where I go to experiment and sort of figure out my new cocktail before I go to like someplace else. I would say Cobra Clutch was fun, like as a concept, but I'm not sure it's as successful as Nocturno is, honestly. Just because, again, this is like very much the reason that I like going to Nocturno, and I know this is kind of turning back into that podcast, is that I have places that I like to go, and you guys all know that. I love to go to Delilah, which went this weekend. It was awesome. A very good fellas experience. It was sick. They pulled out a chair for me, and it was so cool. But I like to go there. That's where I like to go and like hang and do whatever. Nocturno's cool because you also like never know who you might meet there. It's a little bit more like people coming in and out. It's a little bit bigger. You're able to sort of like as a single person sort of maybe meet new people. There's lots of couples that go there as well, but it is very much like a more like transient but still local people going in and out of Nocturno. There are a lot of bars are in the arts district that are very like this is like where couples go all the time, like, and they're like the cool hip people. Places like that would be like Rebar, places like Velveteen Rabbit, and like for groups you would go to places like Dusterland. Those are all like kind of group or couples things. I would say Cobra Clutch is probably going to be a couple's spot, even though like I also met like another guy that was there that was by himself. He was the guy waiting 3 hours. He came in and and he was really fun. It was actually really fun talking to him about cocktails because he kind of knew like about like what he liked and like sort of like kind of went over the menu. And that's fun for sure, but it does feel, and like as I looked around, it was a lot of couples. It was a lot of like older couples, a lot of people who had been like in the area a long time, and that's great for them. But for me, it's just not like a concept that I feel comfortable at. Like I like again, this is maybe a me thing, is that at such a small bar, you feel like you are taking up time. Is basically what it is. And I thought about a really fun quote from The Great Gatsby. And I watched the movie. I didn't read the book. I'm sorry, guys. But in the movie, one of the actresses says, "I love big parties. Small parties, there's never any privacy, and big parties are so intimate." And I think that's such a poignant thing, is because when you are in a small bar, it feels like everybody is sort of like in everybody's business. and it feels weird. It's kind of fun to be like in a bigger bar, to sort of be sort of in your own space and sort of look, and it doesn't feel like overwhelming that everybody's on top of each other. So I did think about that quote, and I thought it was a very interesting one, was that, at small parties, there's never any privacy, and big parties are so intimate. I just love that quote. So that was my experience at Cobra Clutch. I really wish them all the success in the future, and I think a lot of, even they know this because they did have to post this on their Instagram, is that they do have to be on a wait list when you go into this bar, and that is sort of like an additional concept, just like the original Nocturno. So I think that's a really important thing, is that they're kind of like, tighten it up, which I think is going to be really good. So I did want to go to Viking Mike's, but I just didn't make it over there. Yeah. So what else did I do this weekend? Went to Delilah. That was fun. Went to the movies. Also fun. So this weekend coming up, I think I'm going to chill out. But we do have some really fun concepts for you. There was a time, like for about 2 or 3 weeks, where I was just like low on ideas. But now, like, kind of just like the juices were flowing. Just like, again, this is also why I like to go to bars that I go to a lot, is because then I get these ideas. So we're going to probably do an episode on, this is for the ladies out there, if your guy takes you to this restaurant, what vibe and what tone are we setting? Like, what should you probably wear? What you should be expecting? Because a lot of like going out to dinner, especially for the ladies, I understand, is like you got to have like the right outfit set. You got to kind of know what the tone is being set for you. Like if he gets a reservation at Golden Steer, or he gets a reservation at Delilah, if he gets a reservation at Carbone Riviera, what should you know going into that? Because I don't want to spoil it. But if he gets you a reservation at an ungettable place like Carbone Riviera, like, this next half a year, he loves you. It's a big deal. And another one that I came up with was how to be successful, like what it takes to be successful at every single level of a hotel. So basically what that means is, from the CEO perspective or the president's perspective, what do you have to do to be successful to run a hotel in Las Vegas? Obviously, there are some variables, but I will give you the playbook on how to be a great president of a hotel casino in Las Vegas. Then, like, you go down, like, to your directors. Like, what do directors have to be good at? What do supervisors have to be good at? And most importantly, the frontline employees. What must be instilled at frontline employee level to help your business become a great hotel and casino? I will be using a lot of thoughts from my personal, Vegas czar mogul Steve Wynn, who was a very interesting guy, but again, obviously has some past, but very much when it came to running hotels, really kind of knew like how to make them run. And there was, a lot of different things, from designing it to the actual day-to-day operations, and being able to meld those two together and why they're important. So that's going to be an episode coming up later in a couple of weeks. And I don't know, maybe I'll come up with another one sometime soon. I do have another one that I was sort of spitballing, is that I did want to have one where I tell you some hard truths about Las Vegas. And really what that means is, and I think it's going to be a fun episode, is people have like notions or nostalgic feelings about certain things in town, and I don't. But also, like, from a real serious level, is like, why do you have these feelings? Like, did you ever go see the volcano before it got taken away? Those kind of things. Like, yeah, maybe we should implode a couple of different hotels, which there's not a very long list of ones that need to be imploded now, but there's an idea of why they're, what we should be thinking. And also, Some shows are better than others, and how are they still here? So, with that being said, we're going to wrap up this episode. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. I know that we kind of like go all over the place. Hopefully, this was a really fun review episode of a couple different places that we visited. I really, really enjoyed the Vinyl Room. I would highly recommend if anybody wants to go do like a really cool, fun lounge on the south end of the strip. This place definitely knocked it out of the park, not just because of the free drinks, but because the vibe itself was really, really fantastic and a very, very grown-up spot. But it's definitely a place you want to have a good time at. So hats off to Mandalay Bay for figuring this one out. It's very good. So with that being said, thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Make sure you follow us on all of our accounts, conciergeconfidential_LV, at Keys to Vegas on TikTok. And then, of course, if you want to follow me on my personal page, it's at Brian_Ortega26. So thanks again, everybody. Really appreciate it. If you see me out in town, come up and say hello. But remember, keep it confidential.